Parliament, Senate of Pakistan, you know, the wisest, technically speaking, literally speaking, not literally, but technically speaking, the wise people of Pakistan were supposed to sit there. तो जो खौफ का एक माहौल बन रहा है, देखिए मैं बात कर सकती हूँ पाकिस्तान के सियासी जो इक़्तिसादी सूरत हाल है और बहुत सी चीज़, सिक्योरिटी की सिचुएशन एट्सेट्रा, बट आई डू वांट टू फोकस ऑन दिस एंड इट स्केयर्स मी इन सम वेज. In the 80s, when people like Ahmad Rashid and Khalid Ahmad Saab wrote a lot about the Afghan jihad, हमने भी लिखा, and I would always question a lot of what they said. The only thing that always made sense to me was when Khalid Ahmad would say that ये soft state बनने जा रहा है पाकिस्तान. तो मेरा ख्याल है सफ़र हमारा जब से शुरू होता है, ये बात गलत होगी ये कहना कि ये चीज़ें अब इमर्ज की हैं, तो जब से एक सफ़र शुरू हुआ है हमारा, और मैं अब पर्सनल बात कर सकती हूँ, आई थिंक देयर इज सम एक्सप्लेनेशन टू बी गिवन. मुझे कारगिल के ज़माने में ये समझ आई कि किस इंतहा की एक कंप्लीट अनाकी, मैडनेस, लैक ऑफ प्रोफेशनलिज्म था पाकिस्तान आर्मी में, जिसने के कारगिल जैसी चीज़ को मुमकिन किया. एंड यू नो डिटेल्स ऑफ दैट आर आउट नाउ. So that was in a sense a suicidal thing, a classic textbook example. Malia Lodi is sitting here and smiling because hers was one of the first pieces that came out saying what the issue was. I came to it much later. अब जो ये हो रहा है, मुझे लगता है इन अ सेंस जो जिस तरीके से हुकूमत वक्त ने इस इशू को आसिया बीबी के बाद जो डेवलपमेंट्स हुई, जिस तरीके से हुकूमत वक्त ने उसको हैंडल किया, you know, starting from अच्छा पार्डन करना है नहीं पार्डन करना, अभी जिक्र हुआ, मैं रिपीट नहीं करना चाहती, डोंट वांट टू वेस्ट टाइम, के बाबर रवान साहब कुछ फरमा रहे हैं, भट्टी साहब कुछ कह रहे हैं, एक कमेटी बननी है नफीसा शाह साहबा के अंडर, शरीर रहमान अपना बिल दे देती हैं, और एक इंतहा की कॉन्ट्रडिक्शन. और सलमान तासीर साहब अगर जो फरमा रहे थे, और अगर ये लगा किसी को कि वो सही नहीं थी, तो क्या हुकूमत को चाहिए था कि उनको बुला के कहते, जो भी पॉलिसी थी. मेरा कहने का मकसद कि ये हमने उसको इस तरीके से हैंडल किया सिचुएशन को कि एक पॉलिटिकल ब्लंडरिंग थी, जिसे 22 नवंबर को हमारे यहाँ वी हैड द लॉ मिनिस्टर ऑफ पंजाब सिटिंग इन द प्रोग्राम, इन माई प्रोग्राम लाइव, एंड सेइंग 295C को ख़त्म करना चाहिए. ही इज़ ऑन रिकॉर्ड सेइंग 295C को ख़त्म करना चाहिए. उसके बाद अयाज अमीर, इमरान खान वगैरह ये सब कहते रहे, अफरसाब खटक साहब ने भी कहा, बट हुकूमत देन वेंट बैक. सो आई मीन आई डोंट वांट टू गो इनटू द डिटेल्स ऑफ इट, बट see where we are today. Look at how we've blundered, how this government has blundered. And the interesting thing is कि government जितना back off करती गई, उतना ज़्यादा जो मुख्तलिफ जमातें थी, मसलन PMLN jumped into the fray. अभी जो लाहौर में हुआ है जलसा, उसमें PMLN के वन ऑफ देयर पार्लियामेंटेरियंस वो भी मंसूरा गए, उन्होंने भी जो जुलूस था उसकी तैयारी में हिस्सा लिया. साथ ही वो है PMLQ के तो परवेज़ इलाही साहब एक्चुअली वेंट एंड एड्रेस द रैली. सो यू हैव अ काइंड ऑफ सिचुएशन वेयर वी आर मूविंग टुवर्ड्स अ सिचुएशन वेयर as a believer, I'd say the best values of Islam are being, you know, thrown in the rubbish bin here with this kind of approach. Parliamentary democracy is being undermined. I mean, why could this situation not have been dealt with in the parliament? And I mean, those are issues of detail. And you know, democracy is being questioned, and you've got these religio-political groups who are out in the street. हर Friday और हर Sunday उन्होंने book किया होता है अपने जलसे जुलूस के लिए. तो ये जो जहाँ हम आके खड़े हो गए हैं, आई थिंक इन अ सेंस इज इट अ रिपब्लिक ऑफ फियर एट वन लेवल आर वी हेडेड टूवर्ड्स. आई मीन अगर सेनेटर जो हैं उनकी बात जो इतनी मोहमल बात, मैं तो आई से इट ओपनली, मंदोखिल साहब की बात इज़ अ वेरी इरैशनल थिंग, बट देर हिम्मत ही नहीं है कि आप उस पर उसको क्वेश्चन करें. अच्छा, और देन द अप्रोच दैट इज बीइंग टेकन बाय द गवर्नमेंट has been, and we've talked to a lot of people in the government and different political parties. Their reasoning is कि देखिए ये जो law की बात है ये वो, this is a glue that is keeping these religious parties together. तो इसको आप हटा दें इस बीच से तो ये religious parties will fall apart. I'm not so sure it's as simple as that. I think that and a lot of us tried to bring, जैसे ये खालिद साहब ने कहा, we tried to bring people from different schools of thought, and there was a lot of criticism कि आप जमातुद दावा क्यों लेके आए, आप अंजुमन सिपाही साहबा को, जमातुद दावा ने आज इतना लंबा जुलूस निकाला है, हुकूमत courts कह रहे हैं कि जी वो बिल्कुल they are a party which is a legitimate party. The point is that the Parliament of Pakistan, the courts of Pakistan, the institutions of Pakistan and the government of Pakistan, nobody is questioning this kind of irrationality that is doing the rounds and which is occupying public space. The question is कि किसी भी माशरे में ultimately how do you judge where a society is going? Obviously, number one, is there legal apartheid? Is there economic apartheid? Plus you see what's happening in public space. Public space today is increasingly being occupied by these people. अब सवाल ये है कि यकीनन डिफीटिस्ट होने की बात नहीं, मेरा ख्याल है बुल्ले शाह, रहमान बाबा, फैज़ अहमद फैज़ और बहुत सी चीज़ें हैं जो कि पाकिस्तान के लोगों को अभी भी मूव करती हैं. And I think winning the hearts of the people of Pakistan is not difficult, but coming to ourselves, I think when we look at civil society के हवाले और responses आई हैं, मतलब response there is a response, but I think there are two things here. One, that civil society can't keep itself away from the state. The state will have to be, in a sense, will have to be brought around to understanding that that the game, I think it's still playing partly, that game has to end. The state of Pakistan cannot see itself as an alter ego to India. I think that we have to look at issues of security in a broader, in a different manner. So in a sense, the civil society has to engage with the state or ensure that the state sees the reason and the rationale of what is needed today. On the other hand, ये मैं ज़रूर कहूँगी कि grassroots level पर भी हमारी जो हमारे लोग हैं उनसे there is a distance. We need to develop a common language which would mobilize people, which would motivate people to see things logically, rationally, and I would say to some extent within a progressive religious context. Abhi, I was just flying from Islamabad, so I had somebody from the Foreign Office walk up to me and said, ये आप लोग क्या कर रहे हैं? It's a losing battle, क्योंकि Foreign Office के 80% लोग हमें कहते हैं कादरी तो हीरो है, कादरी ने जो किया वो ठीक किया. And I mean, this is not something that is, I think there is an issue of articulation, there is an issue of communication, there is an issue of how we communicate. So the battle has to be won. We have no chance, we have no option, this is our only home, we have to fix it, but I think that it just requires that we understand what the challenges are, and as a civil society stands up, it has to, in a sense, 2007 की जो politic movement थी, 2007 की movement में सियासी जमातें came on board later, once it was clear to them what is the content and what is the issue. Now, can we do something like that? Can we push forward, a rationale, a reason in a way that we take the grassroots level people with us and we also demonstrate what's wrong. I mean, blasphemy के जो cases हैं, आप देखिए पिछले 10-12 रोज में, it's criminal the cases that have been lined up. I mean, और ये कि हमारी हिम्मत भी नहीं हो रही कि हम ये कहें. अब वो फौजिया वहाब, who is no favorite of mine, फौजिया वहाब को जब उन्होंने ये कहा कि भाई उस वक्त नहीं था मुल्क में कुरान, क्या कहा था, कुरान कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन नहीं था, समथिंग लाइक दैट शी सेड. तो उनको कहा कि जी आप कह रही है कुरान ठीक नहीं है, और फिर उनको माफी मांगनी पड़ी फाइनली जाके. इफ टुडे somebody was to come and say to me कि दुनिया टीवी आप कुरान से चलाएं, तो I'll say, are you out of your mind? How can I run an organization using the Quran? I can obviously imbibe the values of the Quran. So I think that there's something really fundamental that's happening here, and I think a lot of us are detached. I don't want to use the word detached. I think we are not fully engaging at the levels that we need to engage at, that the state is still playing its game, that though that 80s ki jo kahani hai, wo chalti ja rahi hai, lekin that kahani is blowing in our faces, and I think the state will have to see that, but as Zahid said and as Parvez said, the miracle is we will have to speak. Public discourse is absolutely crucial. Speaking more and building alliances is crucial, and there is a way forward, and there has to be a way forward. Thank you.
The moderate, just a minute. The moderate and the liberal will not come out on the road to agitate. You have to have extreme passions for that to happen, and if there is foreign funding, it's made easy. Nobody is going to fund the liberal to come out on the road. He is not temperamentally suited for that kind of function. A liberal will be found in all sorts of ways. A liberal will be found inside a religious party. He'll be found inside a leftist party. He will try and moderate the sharp edges of any policy, but he has to be protected by the state. The fact is that the state has shrunk over this period of time. The writ of the state doesn't run totally in some parts. I would say that if you count Balochistan, where the writ of the state is almost absent, nobody wants even the police there. They don't want the army, they don't want the police. In the tribal areas, there is hardly any writ of the state. There are some districts of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa where the Taliban actually give the orders and the administration has to obey. There are parts of Sindh which are no-go. There are parts of Karachi which are no-go areas. There are parts of South Punjab where the writ of the state is thin. And even the feudals have now abdicated in the face of these state-patronized, state-supported jihadi organizations. Now, if we have this kind of state of affairs prevailing here, speaking here is not going to serve any purpose, because Governor Punjab, Salman Taseer, spoke up and he was taken care of by the extremists. And after that, the state actually abdicated. The state actually left him alone to be killed by these people. After that, gradually all the parties lined up behind the extremists. The major atmosphere in Pakistan is that of intimidation. And the major principle of all terrorism is creation of intimidation. An atmosphere of fear where people will support you for two reasons. One, that they wish to be empowered themselves through the person who is their tormentor. The other thing is for self-protection. We've seen that in Swat, we've seen that in Bajaur, and when the state asserted itself in Swat, people went right back, again proving to us that the world created by an extremist is that of intimidation, and it can be actually rolled back. The only requirement is that the state should assert itself. The state should assert itself on the basis of the constitution we have, which is still the liberal constitution. And if you read the critique that Al-Zawahiri has written, he actually opposes the constitution because it is too liberal. And today, as we listen to our friends speaking about the kind of emergency we are going through, the kind of atmosphere all of us are living through, we should be reminded of this fact that the state can actually extricate itself by agreeing regionally and agreeing globally with the views of other people. Because within itself, there are far too many people who are controlling us. There are people in the tribal areas who are in control of those areas, as well as they're attacking outside. In Balochistan, there are non-state actors who are attacking inside Iran. And of course, there are non-state actors who've periodically gone into India and attacked there. We have to find some solution in an overhaul of our foreign policy so that we are no longer isolated and that we are helped. And I think we need help. We need help economically much more than in any other aspect of our function of the state. Now I'll call upon Ahmed Rashid to sum up and give his views.
Thank you very much. You've heard me, some of you have heard me this morning, and I'm told I've only got 9 minutes and I've got to wrap it all up in that. First, I do want to apologize to all of you standing over there. I do apologize. I know my family is occupying about 10 rows of chairs, and I really humbly apologize. And all the floor space is also occupied by my family. God bless my family for coming, but clearly we should...
Party there.
Clearly, we should tell Amina that you should reserve a section for my family and another section for the rest of the public. But anyway, I just want to remember a very dear cousin known to many of you in Karachi, Kaleem Omar, who died a couple of years ago, who would have loved an event like this, who was a poet and a writer and a journalist and a great inspiration to me in my youth. And it is unfortunate that this event started, after his death. I'm going to try and take a slightly different tack from the other speakers and also from what I spoke, early in the morning. I'd like to point out two incredibly important historical moments when we could have changed and in which we rejected change, in fact. The first was the collapse of the Soviet Union and the end of the Cold War, 1992. What that led to, the message there was multiple. The message there was, all you dependent third world countries, there's no longer now a dependency on either the Soviet Union or the US that is possible. So all of you countries grow up, develop your own economies, stand on your own feet, and the message, unfortunately, was entirely missed by the Pakistani elite, both political. If you remember that time, Nawaz Sharif and Benazir were intermittent prime ministers, both political and by the military. And that, of course, was the start of globalization. So we not only missed that period, that message of breaking dependency, we in fact increase our dependency on the United States and on China and on other countries to try and pull us out of perennial economic crises. But also we fail to stand on our own feet. The other message of the end of the Cold War is that poorer countries have to build regional alliances. If you look at what happened in Europe, the strengthening of the European Union, in the Far East, the strengthening of ASEAN, what is in North Africa, you get all these regional organizations which become, doing better trade in